Chapter 3: Income, Expenses, and Cash Flow. If psychology is the engine that drives financial behavior, then cash flow is the road it travels on. You can have the right intentions, the right mindset, even the right goals, but if the road is unclear, broken, or constantly leading backward, you will never reach financial freedom. Cash flow determines direction. It tells you where your money is actually going, not where you hope it goes. And this is where many financial journeys quietly fail, not because people lack income, but because they lack visibility and control. One of the most painful truths I have witnessed across decades of working with clients, employees, entrepreneurs, overseas Filipino workers, and real estate buyers is this: many Filipinos have income, but very few have financial direction. People work hard, they sacrifice time, they endure stress, yet at the end of every month or every year, their financial position looks almost the same. The problem is not effort, it is flow. Money enters, but it does not move with intention. It flows automatically toward consumption, emotional spending, unplanned obligations, high-interest debt, lifestyle upgrades, and family expectations that were never clearly defined. Income is absorbed by life rather than directed toward a future. When cash flow is unmanaged, money behaves like water poured onto sand. It disappears quickly, leaving no trace of progress. Even increases in income fail to create change, because the underlying flow remains the same. More money simply feeds the same patterns at a higher level. This is why many people feel stuck despite earning more than before. Promotions, overseas work, bonuses, and side hustles come and go, but financial pressure remains. Without a clear cash flow system, income becomes reactive. It responds to immediate needs, not long-term goals. Cash flow is not just an accounting concept. It is the real map of your financial life. It reveals whether you are moving forward, standing still, or slowly sinking. It shows whether your money is building assets or funding habits. It exposes leaks that emotions and justifications try to hide. And most importantly, it tells you the truth, without judgment, without excuses. This chapter is about rebuilding that foundation from the ground up. Before you can invest wisely, you must see clearly. Before you can grow wealth, you must control direction. Before you can talk about freedom, you must ensure that your cash flow is no longer working against you. In this chapter, we will strip money down to its most honest form: what comes in, what goes out, and what remains. Not to shame you, but to empower you. Not to overwhelm you, but to give you control. Because once cash flow is understood and managed, money stops being confusing. It becomes navigable, and when you know the road, progress stops being accidental and starts becoming inevitable. 3.1 The Cash Flow Quadrant for Filipinos. To understand your financial life clearly, you must first know where you stand. Not where you hope you are, not where you appear to be, but where your money actually places you. When income and expenses are viewed honestly, almost every Filipino household falls into one of 4 cash flow zones. These zones are not labels of character or intelligence. They are simply conditions, and conditions can be changed. The first zone is negative cash flow. This is the most dangerous place to be, and many Filipinos know it all too well. In this zone, expenses are higher than income. No matter how hard you work, money is never enough. Borrowing becomes a way of life, not for growth, but for survival. Salary advances are frequent. Credit cards are kept alive by minimum payments. Groceries are bought on credit. Bills are paid late, if at all. There is no savings, no emergency fund, and no breathing space. Life in this zone is exhausting. Every month feels like a crisis. Every unexpected expense feels like a threat. But the most damaging part of negative cash flow is not the stress. It is the silent destruction of your future. Each month spent here pushes you further into debt, weakens your options, and limits your ability to recover. This zone does not just hurt today, it steals tomorrow. The second zone is survival cash flow. Here, income and expenses are almost equal. You pay your bills, you get through the month, and you feel a sense of relief when nothing goes wrong. This is where most Filipinos are trapped. It feels stable because you are no longer sinking, but it is also deceptive because you are not rising. In this zone, there is nothing left at the end of the month. No margin, no buffer, no preparation for the unexpected. Life works only as long as everything goes according to plan. The moment illness strikes, a job is lost, or a family emergency arises, the entire structure collapses. Survival cash flow creates the illusion of safety, but it offers no protection. Escaping this zone does not happen by accident. It requires deliberate decisions, discipline, and awareness. The third zone is stability cash flow. This is where income finally exceeds expenses, even if only by a small margin. For the first time, money stops feeling like an enemy. You have some control. You can save consistently. You can begin to think about investing. You can plan beyond the next paycheck. This zone creates breathing room. Stress decreases. Choices expand. Financial literacy begins to show its value because there is now space for it to operate. But stability is not the final destination. It is a foundation. If someone remains here too long without intention, progress slows. Stability must be protected, but it must also be built upon. The fourth zone is growth cash flow. This is where income exceeds expenses by a clear and intentional margin. Here, money is no longer just supporting life. It is building the future. You can invest regularly, grow capital, create new income streams, and protect your family against uncertainty. Decisions are no longer driven by fear, but by strategy. This is the zone of builders. People here think long-term. They design systems. They prepare not only for their own needs, but for the next generation. Financial destiny changes permanently in this zone, not because life becomes perfect, but because options multiply. The purpose of this quadrant is not to judge where you are. It is to help you see clearly. You cannot move forward if you do not know your position. Progress begins the moment you identify your zone honestly and decide that you will not stay there forever. Every Filipino who builds wealth begins in one of the first three zones. What separates those who break the cycle from those who do not is simple but powerful. They decide to move deliberately toward growth. And that journey begins with understanding your cash flow, not emotionally, not defensively, but truthfully. 3.2 Active versus passive income. Many Filipinos grow up believing that having a job automatically means having security. A steady paycheck feels like protection. As long as income comes in regularly, life feels manageable. But over time, this belief quietly reveals its weakness. Security does not come from income alone. It comes from how income is structured. Most people rely almost entirely on what is called active income. This is money earned by exchanging time, effort, or presence for pay. Salaries, commissions, professional fees, side hustles, and small businesses that require daily hands-on work all fall into this category. There is nothing wrong with active income. In fact, it is where almost everyone begins. It feeds families, pays bills, and creates opportunities. The danger lies not in earning active income, but in depending on it completely. Active income has one unbreakable rule. When you stop working, the income stops. Illness, burnout, job loss, retirement, or even simple exhaustion can instantly cut the flow. This is why many Filipinos who work abroad for decades, enduring loneliness, sacrifice, and physical strain, return home without lasting security. The money was earned honestly and painfully, but it was never converted into something that could continue without them. Hard work without a system leads to survival, not wealth. This is where the concept of passive income changes everything. Passive income is money that continues to flow even when you are not actively working. It comes from assets rather than effort. Rental properties generate income without daily labor. Dividends pay investors without requiring attendance. Interest earnings, royalties, automated businesses, and well-structured investments all create cash flow that is not tied directly to your time. Passive income is often described as the secret weapon of the financially free, but it is also widely misunderstood. Many people think passive income means easy money, instant returns, or doing nothing. That misunderstanding leads to scams, unrealistic expectations, and disappointment. The truth is far more grounded. Passive income does not begin passively. It begins with active discipline. Every reliable passive income stream is built through deliberate effort, planning, and sacrifice. Assets must be created, acquired, or funded first. Systems must be designed. Mistakes must be corrected. For a period of time, effort is intense and returns are small. Only later does the income begin to flow more automatically. This is the shift that separates survival from freedom. Instead of spending all active income on consumption, a portion is redirected toward asset building. Instead of upgrading lifestyle immediately, wealth builders delay gratification. They choose to build something now so that it can support them later. Active income is your engine. Passive income is your destination. Financial freedom is not about quitting work early or avoiding effort. It is about reaching a point where work becomes a choice, not a requirement, where income continues even when you rest, where time is no longer traded entirely for money. Understanding the difference between active and passive income and learning how to intentionally move from one to the other is one of the most important turning points in a Filipino's financial journey. Because when income is no longer dependent solely on your labor, security stops being fragile. It becomes designed. Top of form, 3.3, where most Filipinos lose money without knowing it. Most financial damage does not happen through one big mistake. It happens quietly, slowly, and repeatedly, through habits that feel normal, justified, and even responsible. This is why many Filipinos work hard for decades and still wonder where the money went. Nothing dramatic happened. No single decision ruined them. Instead, cash flow was quietly drained by patterns that were never examined. One of the most common of these patterns is lifestyle creep. Whenever income increases, expenses rise almost automatically. A promotion comes and a new phone follows. A bonus arrives and subscriptions multiply. A higher salary quietly attracts new lifestyle expectations. The increase feels deserved, and often it is, but the result is predictable. Income goes up, but wealth does not. Money simply flows faster through a wider channel. Because the change feels gradual and reasonable, it rarely raises alarm. Yet over time, lifestyle creep consumes every opportunity to build margin. Another silent drain comes from unplanned family obligations. Helping family is one of the most beautiful Filipino values. It reflects love, gratitude, and shared responsibility. But when support is given without limits, structure, or timing, it slowly erodes financial stability. Many people help first and plan later, if they plan at all. They stretch themselves thin, believing sacrifice is the only option. Over time, resentment builds, stress increases, and the ability to help sustainably disappears. You cannot pour from an empty cup, no matter how good your intentions are. Financial stability is not selfish. It is necessary if support is to last. High-interest debt is another quiet destroyer of cash flow. Credit cards, personal loans, and installment plans promise convenience, but hide their true cost. In the Philippines, credit card interest can reach levels that silently consume the future. Payments feel manageable month to month, but most of the money goes to interest rather than progress. Debt becomes a treadmill, constant effort, no movement. Because the payments are spread out and normalized, the damage often goes unnoticed until years have passed. Many Filipinos also lose money simply because they do not track it. This may sound basic, but it is one of the most consistent causes of financial stagnation. Money that is not measured is always wasted, not necessarily through extravagance, but through invisibility. Small daily expenses accumulate. Leaks go unnoticed. People feel busy managing life, yet remain unaware of where their money actually goes. Without tracking, cash flow cannot be controlled, and what cannot be controlled cannot be improved. The absence of an emergency fund magnifies all these problems. One illness, one accident, one unexpected event can erase years of effort. Savings meant for goals are redirected to crises. Investments are liquidated at the worst possible time. Debt fills the gap. Emergencies are not rare events, they are inevitable. The real question is not whether they will happen, but whether your finances are prepared when they do. Compounding the problem is the lack of a clear budget structure. Many people operate under a bahala na system, trusting that things will somehow work out. Bills are paid as they come. Decisions are made in the moment. There is no clear plan for where money should go first, second, or last. This approach feels flexible, but it leaves finances vulnerable to pressure and emotion. Without structure, even good intentions fail to produce results. Finally, many Filipinos lose money by never building an investment system. They work, they earn, they spend, and they repeat year after year. Without investing, income remains tied to labor. Progress depends entirely on effort. When work slows or stops, so does financial momentum. This creates lifelong dependence on employment or physical capacity. Investing is not about becoming rich quickly. It is about reducing vulnerability over time. Without it, financial life remains fragile, no matter how hardworking someone is. None of these issues come from laziness or irresponsibility. They come from lack of structure, lack of awareness, and inherited habits that were never questioned. The danger lies not in making mistakes, but in making them silently, repeatedly, and without realizing their long-term cost. This section is not meant to overwhelm. It is meant to awaken, because once these silent killers are seen clearly, they lose their power. And when leaks are closed, even modest income begins to build something meaningful. 3.4. Building your first personal cash flow statement. Before you can change your financial life, there is one thing you must do first. You must see it clearly. Not what you assume, not what you hope, and not what you feel, but what is actually happening. Most people avoid this step, not because it is difficult, but because it feels confronting. Seeing the truth about money can be uncomfortable, yet clarity is never the enemy. Confusion is. The simplest and most powerful way to gain clarity is by building your first personal cash flow statement. This is not accounting. This is not for banks or accountants. This is for you. It is your financial mirror. Imagine dividing your financial life into 4 simple boxes. The first box contains your total monthly income. This is where honesty begins. You list everything that comes in: salary, bonuses, business earnings, commissions, side jobs, allowances, investment income, even irregular sources if they are real. Many people underestimate this box or ignore smaller income streams, but every peso matters. You cannot direct money you refuse to acknowledge. The second box contains your fixed monthly expenses. These are the costs that must be paid no matter what: rent or housing amortization, groceries, electricity and water, transportation, insurance, tuition, loan payments. These expenses form the non-negotiable base of your life. Understanding this box tells you how much it costs simply to exist. For many, this number alone is already eye-opening. The third box contains your variable expenses. This is where behavior becomes visible. Eating out, entertainment, shopping, online purchases, subscriptions, and miscellaneous spending all live here. These expenses feel small in isolation, but together they often explain why money disappears. The purpose of this box is not to judge enjoyment, but to reveal patterns. This is where control is won or lost. The fourth box shows the result. You subtract your total expenses from your total income, and what remains is your cash flow. This number tells the truth about your financial direction. It shows whether you are moving forward, standing still, or falling behind. If the result is negative, the response is not panic or shame. It is restructuring. Expenses are reviewed. Terms are renegotiated. Priorities are adjusted. The goal is not deprivation, but survival with dignity and a plan for recovery. If the result is zero, the situation may feel stable, but it is fragile. This is where systems must be adjusted. Spending is reallocated. Needs are clearly separated from wants. Small margins are deliberately created. Zero cash flow is not failure, but it is not safety either. It is a position that requires immediate attention. If the result is positive, then discipline must follow. Savings and investments should not depend on mood or memory. They must be automated. Assets must be built. The margin for growth must be increased intentionally. Positive cash flow is an opportunity, but only if it is used deliberately. This four-box system works because it is simple. It strips money down to its essentials. It removes excuses and replaces them with facts. Once you see your cash flow clearly, you gain power. You are no longer guessing. You are deciding. This leads to the most important rule of all. Wealth is not determined by how much you earn. It is determined by how much you keep and how well you grow it. This is why someone earning 30,000 pesos a month can build wealth through discipline, structure, and consistency, while someone earning 300,000 pesos a month can end up broke without direction. Your income is only the starting point. Your cash flow is the real story. And once you learn to read that story clearly, you gain the ability to rewrite it, one decision at a time. Closing reflection of Chapter 3. Your financial life is not an accident. It is a structure, a design, a system. If your money keeps disappearing, there is a reason. If your savings don't grow, there is a pattern. If your debts increase, there is a behavior. If your cash flow is unclear, your future is unclear. Today, you begin the habit that separates those who survive from those who build. You are not just earning money anymore. You are directing it, and direction is the first step to freedom. Action steps, your cash flow reset. 1. Create your four-box cash flow system today. Write the numbers. Face the truth. Awareness is liberation. 2. Identify your cash flow zone, danger, survival, stability, or growth. 3. Decide the level you want to reach in the next 12 months and commit to it.